Okay guys, so here we go. The brand new fragrance by Bath & Body Works. You know that they have been pumping out a lot of fragrances as of late. I actually just reviewed Birch and Eucalyptus. I'm not sure when I'm going to be putting that video out, if I'm going to publish this one first or the other one. Just know that one of them is certainly in the pipeline. In any case, this fragrance, amber, neroli, dry woods, and I'm also picking up on some other ingredients. I'm going to tell you what I think of it, how I think it stacks up against other fragrances. So make sure to stay tuned. Now before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on the brand new Smooth Amber by Bath & Body Works, and I give you my thoughts on comparisons, performance, which includes longevity, projection, all of that good stuff, I want to start things off by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you could be notified whenever I do upload future videos to the channel, and of course give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or if you took something of value from today's episode. It would really mean a lot to me. So of course, you have fragrances like smoked old fashioned, you have leather and brandy, coffee and whiskey, just amazing fragrances by Bath & Body Works. And we're seeing that as of late, they're actually delving into more daring territory, right? They're not afraid to take that creative risk. And I, as a consumer, is very thankful for it. I want something that smells different, something that's not ordinary or run-of-the-mill, if you know what I mean. Now, in the case of this fragrance, some interesting considerations. Number one, there's a lot more than meets the eye when it comes to the note breakdown. When you read the back, and obviously Bath & Body Works never lists a ton of notes for their fragrances, it just says Smooth Amber blends warm amber, dried woods, and neroli. Could be labdanum, could be benzoin, could be galbanum, could be elemi, could be vanilla. There's a lot of things that can be used in the synthesis of an amber accord, and in addition to the neroli, could be some other citrus ingredients, maybe petitgrain, maybe bergamot, maybe lemon. So I'm gonna put it to the test. I'm gonna smell it. I've worn it for the past week and a half. I'm ready to give you my thoughts on it, but let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation. Now, right in the opening of this fragrance, you don't get the amber per se, right? So it opens up with that citrusy introduction, and of course, reading the back of the box, you do see neroli, so you're expecting this bright, citrusy effervescence about it. It's not overly bright, right? You can tell there's something anchoring it in the dry down, and you know, the opacity has been reduced in the sense that you can kind of observe and witness what's in the background, and it doesn't make a surprise leap out at you out of nowhere. No, you know what's to be expected, right? Kind of like you're traveling through the tunnel, but you see the light at the end, right? You know there's the exit in sight. That's the sensation that I'm getting from this one. It definitely opens up with that citrus, but it's not overly bright or luminous or anything like that. But you do get a nice touch of brightness in the opening, something that you can tell if you're perspicacious enough that it's very short-lived. It's going to be quite ephemeral. Once that citrus dies out, which is like 10 seconds later, you do get this smooth quality about it. Now, I am getting some woods. It says dry woods. I think I'm getting a little bit of either like Gaiac wood. I don't know if it's Gaiacol or what the name is of the, molecule that gives Gaiac wood that characteristic aroma, but I'm also getting a little bit of like a smooth sandalwood, right? It's kind of rich and creamy, 100% synthetic, of course. However, I'm pretty convinced that I'm also getting a bit of tobacco. And the reason I say that is because it actually reminded me of another fragrance by Viva More Parfum, and it's called Tobacco Supreme. And the only other fragrance that this kind of reminded me of as well is Alfa Romeo Black, which I've also reviewed, right? So I've done a video on Viva More Parfum, and I've also reviewed Alfa Romeo Black, which I purchased on Amazon for like $20 or something like that. I don't remember. It was really, really cheap. Now, that's another thing that this fragrance really has going for it. It's the price. So it opens up with the citrus, very affordable, very effervescent in the opening. And then it kind of has like this warm, woodsy, ambery, not overly sweet, slightly woodsy and tobacco-y kind of a vibe that I think is really nice, right? Definitely gives off a bit of elegance without relying on this whole boozy thing that they've done for a while now, which is fine. I love the boozy things, right? So if you can put out another cognac or whiskey or rum or whatever type of a fragrance, I'm gonna welcome it, right? So this one I originally smelled on a coworker, a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that smells really good. He is an avid fan of Bath & Body Works, and he suggested that I check this one out. So I did. I ended up going to my local mall, which is about 10 minutes away from where I live. I purchased it. It was amazing, right? Now, this fragrance though, I think it's charismatic. I don't think it's overly complex. I do think it possesses a bit of a richer DNA, something that you wouldn't get from too many designer fragrances, but I think as of late, we're seeing a trend in the designer market where a lot of designer fragrances are not afraid to take risks. And so in comparison to some of the darker, heavier fragrances like Bad Boy Parfum by Carolina Herrera or Angel for Men by Thierry Mugler, or some fragrances that really did things in a dark way, I don't think this takes as much of a risk as some of those other fragrances. But what I really enjoy about it is that it's not your typical run-of-the-mill citrusy aquatic fragrance. And I think that that is an avenue that Bath & Body Works has exhausted for many a year. So I'm glad to see that deviation from the typical freshies. And, you know, a lot of these fragrances, yeah, they might be compliment getters for the 1 hour that people can smell them on you, but after a while they just get boring. This fragrance stays interesting to me. I think there's something about this fragrance with that sort of combination of, you know, the tobacco vibe in the opening, that slightly resinous, slightly balsamic, but not medicinal or sweet amber accord. And then there's also something in here kind of akin to like Gucci Guilty, right? It kind of has like this complemented vibe. In the dry down, you'll see it will remind you of Gucci Guilty, but it's kind of like a slightly denser, more ambery and pseudo tobacco version of it. As I smell it now, I totally get it, which is something that I didn't get before, but you know, I trust my nose enough to make that determination, and I would, you know, do nothing but recommend you to go out there and try it for yourselves. You know, I think it's a solid fragrance, one that I would enjoy wearing very much. However, it's a Bath & Body Works fragrance, right? So do not be afraid to over apply with it, right? There are some fragrances from the brand that I think performed really, really well, but the majority of them, like Bourbon and Ocean and even Birch and Eucalyptus, you're gonna get like 4 hours longevity. This one might be a little bit better in the 5-hour mark, but that's negligible for a lot of people. So don't be afraid to over apply. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, I do kind of see it as a hodgepodge or an amalgam of some other fragrances that I own, but I would definitely be able to, you know, pick this one out in a lineup. So I do think it does its own thing, but it's definitely a smell or a DNA that I've tried before. That's not a knock against the fragrance or the brand. I think, you know, it's kind of natural for brands to want to pursue successful DNAs, and I think for the most part, that's what they did here. Just going back to it, it has that sort of complement factor to it. I'm telling you, there's something in the dry down that reminds me a lot of Gucci Guilty. Try it for yourself. In terms of the overall smell, incredibly pleasant, no rough edges, potential to be a compliment getter. Maybe not as much as Ocean, but try it for yourself. You never know. In terms of the longevity, 5 hours. Projection, good for the first hour of application. It radiated within an arm's length, not beyond an arm's length. It became an elbow's length scent right around hour 2.5 or 3, skin scent right around hour 5. Could have performed a little bit better, but it is eau de cologne. In terms of the versatility, great for casual and formal scenarios. I say casual because of the price tag. It's super affordable. I think this one does contain some characteristically or traditionally masculine ingredients, and it is marketed for men at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, wear what you want, right? Wear what makes you happy. These are just recommendations. You don't have to play by the rule book per se. I think this would appeal to anybody of any age, and I think this would work well in every season except for the winter. I just think it doesn't perform well enough. If you're wearing it indoors, you're fine. But if you're gonna wear it outdoors, who would be outdoors in the winter? Especially if you live where I live in the New York area. Yeah, it's not gonna withstand that kind of a harsh climate. In terms of the presentation, I do like the sort of ambiguous design on the box here. I thought it was kind of like brush strokes. I thought it was a floral print at one point. I'm not really sure what it is, but in any case, I think it looks kind of cool. And from a synesthetic viewpoint, the smell does kind of match the colors on the bottle and the box here. My final verdict is it's an awesome fragrance. Go out there, try it for yourself. Do I like it more than coffee and whiskey or smoked old fashioned? I don't think so. I really enjoy those two. So if you can, try to prioritize those two, especially given the fact that we're still in the winter. And then, you know, as a tertiary option, you can consider Smooth Amber. In any case, I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you took something value from this video. What is your favorite Bath & Body Works fragrance? Let me know. Leave your comment down below. Always love the interaction. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.